Let's jump right into this explainer. Today, we're looking at something absolutely fascinating and honestly, a little bit terrifying. We are going to examine the literal chemistry of human experience. Every single day, billions of us willingly put chemicals into our bodies to alter how we feel, how we connect, and how we function. But what is actually happening up there in our biology when we do this? Well, we're going to explore 12 different drugs, ranging from completely normalized daily habits to the most heavily restricted substances to see exactly how they hijack the brain. And we're going to start right out of the gate with a high-stakes biological reality check. Because it turns out that for billions of people, their daily morning routine is actually built on a complete biological lie.
So does your morning coffee actually give you energy? We hear it all the time, right? I need my coffee for energy, or don't talk to me until I've had my coffee, I have literally zero energy. But the stark biological truth is a resounding no. Caffeine doesn't create a single ounce of real energy in your brain. It merely masks your physical exhaustion. It's a masterful biochemical illusionist.
So meet your adenosine receptors. Adenosine is the natural chemical that builds up in your body to tell your brain, hey, we're tired, we really need to rest. When you drink coffee, caffeine enters your bloodstream, travels straight up to your brain, and literally blocks those adenosine receptors. It acts just like a temporary dam. Your neurons start firing faster, your heartbeat picks up, and you get this 20 to 30-minute peak of sharp, focused confidence. But here's the catch. The adenosine doesn't just disappear. It just keeps building up behind that dam. So when the caffeine finally breaks down, all that pent-up adenosine floods back in at once, causing that inevitable, irritable, jittery crash. You aren't curing your tiredness, you're just delaying the biological bill.
Now let's look at another incredibly common daily habit: nicotine. Unlike caffeine's slow burn, nicotine is this vicious, super fast-acting cycle. Within seconds of inhaling, nicotine hits the brain and triggers a rapid dopamine release, giving you a brief, clean high of calm and focus. But that rapidly fades. It burns out almost immediately, and that calm aggressively turns into tension and restlessness, which leads right into the withdrawal reset. Every subsequent puff you take isn't actually bringing you new pleasure, it's just temporarily relieving the discomfort that your very last puff created.
And this leads to a powerful and honestly pretty terrifying realization. Nicotine doesn't actually relax you. It just resets withdrawal. People think vaping or smoking cures their stress, but it's really just curing its own chemical absence. Your brain gets trapped, genuinely learning and believing that peace only exists in those brief little moments between cravings. Without it, the brain just feels dull and flat, convinced it can't cope naturally anymore.
Moving on to Section 1, depressants and social drugs, specifically alcohol and cannabis.
We use these drugs extensively as social lubricants, to connect and unwind at parties, but they're actively disrupting the way our central nervous system communicates with itself. This highlights the duality of alcohol perfectly. We drink it to connect because the initial onset brings this wonderful subjective feeling of warmth, social confidence, and relaxed inhibitions. Your racing thoughts just kind of quiet down. But the objective neurological reality happening at the exact same time is a rapid decay. Your brain's communication is slowing down. You get to graded judgment, lost physical coordination, dehydration, and eventually a brutal chemical crash. Your brain feels like everything is totally fine, even as you lose balance and cross lines you never ever would sober. It's a chemical that makes you feel intensely alive in the moment while objectively dulling everything that makes you human, leaving you foggy and chemically depleted the next day.
Now, compare that to cannabis, which operates on an entirely different network, the endocannabinoid system. This is your brain's natural network for regulating mood, memory, and perception. When the active chemical THC enters the brain, it mimics and binds to receptors designed for natural chemicals called anandamides. By hijacking these specific receptors, cannabis distorts time, sharpens your senses, and makes everything feel a bit softer or deeper. But as that peak fades into the come-down, you get this creeping mental fog. Your thoughts slow down, speech drifts, and short-term memory gets incredibly blurry. Over time, regular use can quietly reshape exactly how your brain rewards relaxation, which often leads to reduced motivation or even a creeping sense of paranoia.
Section 2. Hard stimulants and party drugs, cocaine and MDMA.
With these chemicals, we aren't just blocking tiredness or tweaking relaxation anymore. No, we are aggressively forcing the brain to dump its entire reserve of reward chemicals all at once. Cocaine floods the brain with dopamine, but more importantly, it blocks the body from reabsorbing it. Your brain is literally drowning in pleasure signals instantly. You feel invincible, untouchable, electric. But because your reward system just violently burned through its entire fuel supply in a matter of minutes, the resulting crash is absolutely brutal.
Anxiety spikes, mood plummets, and severe exhaustion sets in. The brain learns to link this drug with ultimate control, but it's a total illusion, one that leaves your cardiovascular system heavily strained and your natural joy severely depleted.
MDMA, or ecstasy, takes this a whole step further. Instead of just targeting dopamine, MDMA forces a massive chemical dump of a trio of neurotransmitters: serotonin, dopamine, and oxytocin. This creates a state of infinite electric empathy. You feel deeply, profoundly connected to everyone and everything around you. The brain is running on maximum warmth and reward. It feels like absolute perfection, but it comes at an immense biological cost because it burns through your brain's serotonin supply at an alarming rate and carries very real risks of severe body overheating.
And here is the devastating reality of the come down. When it's over, you realize that connection was chemical, not real, and your brain's left paying the price. Once that serotonin runs dry just a few hours later, that infinite warmth is replaced by a profound emotional emptiness and sadness. If abused over time, it actually damages the very neurons that release serotonin, making natural, everyday happiness almost impossible to reach. It is an incredibly heavy tax on your future well-being.
Section 3. Hallucinogens and dissociatives: LSD, ketamine, and psilocybin.
These are mind-bending substances that fundamentally rewire perception, dissolve the boundaries of reality, and can literally erase your very sense of self. Let's break down how they actually work. LSD binds directly to serotonin 5-HT2A receptors in microscopic amounts, causing reality itself to breathe and time to completely distort. The boundaries of who you are dissolve into this continuous wave. Psilocybin, or magic mushrooms, converts to psilocin in the body and works on similar serotonin pathways, causing perception to ripple and profoundly deepening your emotional sensitivity and connection to your surroundings. Then there's ketamine, an anesthetic that blocks a chemical messenger called glutamate. By blocking sensory input, it detaches you entirely from your physical environment, dropping you into a distant, dreamlike state.
Now, the terrifying reality of ketamine is what users call the K-hole. It's a complete detachment, where you might actually feel like you're floating above your own body. It literally separates the body from the mind. But the long-term physical risks here are severe. Heavy use builds massive tolerance and can lead to devastating bladder damage, memory problems, and a lasting emotional numbness. It disconnects you from physical pain, sure, but it also disconnects you from meaning.
Section 4. Narcotics, amphetamines, and sedatives. Opioids, meth, and benzos.
This is the category where basic human survival systems are hijacked, and the biological debts users accumulate often become tragically permanent. With opioids, like heroin, fentanyl, and morphine, the onset is often described as sinking into the world's softest blanket. The drug attaches to opioid receptors, completely blocking physical pain, severely slowing your breathing, and flooding the body with a deep, heavy, warm calm. It feels like safety itself. But the come down is a brutal, agonizing nightmare. Every nerve in the body screams for the drug again. Severe anxiety, muscle pain, nausea. Opioids actually trick the brain's survival system into believing that the drug is now as essential to life as oxygen. That excruciating withdrawal makes life utterly unbearable without it.
Then we have methamphetamine. This is a high-potency stimulant that doesn't just trigger dopamine, it supercharges dopamine and adrenaline simultaneously. It hits like a lightning bolt. You get an invincible, hyper-focused high where sleep feels completely optional and your energy feels infinite. But here's the crucial catch: this infinite energy isn't real. It is violently stolen from your future self. The ensuing crash leaves the world gray and paranoid, and each hit destroys the very system in the brain that creates pleasure naturally, leading to severe organ stress and rapid, aggressive addiction.
Finally, prescribed sedatives, or benzos, create an incredibly dangerous trap. First, they enhance a brain chemical called GABA to deeply suppress brain activity. Next, this beautifully erases panic, relaxes your muscles, and melts stress away like fog. It brings total calm. But then comes the trap. The brain builds physical tolerance incredibly fast. It forgets how to stay calm naturally. And if you stop suddenly, the withdrawal isn't just uncomfortable. It can cause tremors and seizures that are incredibly dangerous without medical help.
The chilling reality of these pills is this: the danger isn't the calm they bring. It's how easily they convince you. It's a dangerous chemical illusion. They convince your brain so thoroughly that you cannot cope with life's anxieties on your own, replacing your natural resilience with a chemical dependency that is incredibly hard to break.
Which leaves us with this final, profound question to end on. From the coffee you drink in the morning to the most powerful narcotics on Earth, we've seen that drugs don't magically create energy or happiness or calm out of thin air, they just borrow it. If every chemical high is just a biological loan stolen from your body's future, who is really in control of your reality? Are you the master of your mind, or are you just heavily mortgaging your brain chemistry? Think about that the next time you reach for a quick fix. Thanks for joining me on this explainer. I really hope it gave you a totally new perspective on the fragile, fascinating chemistry inside all of our heads.